So if we're kind of breaking it down into piecemeal, do you think perception's part of it too? Because I think about, when we're in our Stranger Things days or age 5 and being doctors and lawyers in our minds and astronauts, right? Do you think we were shielded from the news or less news? Because, I mean, you look back in the 80s and everyone's worried about, their own agenda, whatever that would have been. I feel like our parents must have felt it, but it certainly was not put on us. Do you know what I mean? It's a confusing question to some degree.
Well, I think about what I was worried about as a kid. I was worried about kid stuff.
Right.
I was worried about what a kid was doing. Right. What I'm going to wear tomorrow, where I'm going to baseball tomorrow, out, going to school, got a test tomorrow. It just depends on what you're worried about. It wasn't more so that I wasn't worried about those things, less so that I cared about them. They weren't at the top of the stack, And like today, now you can pick 15 causes to be at the top of your stack, but are you going to make headway on all of them?
No. Can you? Superhero?
I don't know. Yeah, I can do a lot, but I mean, 15, 9. Like a hard 9.
I think I could devote full capacity to 2, right? Right? I think that's, I just wonder how much we were shielded from, too, in retrospect, because I grew up with my grandparents, but they seemed to complain, too, that things were simpler at some points, too. So it seems to be kind of a universal generational complaint.
Well, I mean, even take it down to, let's say your debit card, for instance, right? Like now you don't even need it. You can just bring your phone or tap to pay with your watch, and you can do it right at the ATM. Having your card is useless unless the bank won't let you withdraw funds out of the card, but the tech makes things, so you don't have to remember one more thing, it's one less thing to deal with, one less thing to remember, which is sort of been, tech wasn't promised to be the answer to everything, but I mean, it's come a long way to show itself as being a pretty formidable thing to solve a lot of heartaches that are just day to day, like, the monogamy of day to day,
Mm-hmm. As a therapist, I'm most interested in, especially when we collaborated on this, the tech end. I've consulted with you so many times trying to help my clients that have, I'll use the term addiction loosely, but tendency to really be sucked into Facebook and Instagram and the likes. Do you think that's creating complexity in when it's used improperly, I guess? Because we're looking at how we get back to simpler. It seems like that might, if misused, could overcomplicate. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, too. I don't have a perfect answer on this one.
I'd like to, let's just, I want to start with one, right? Like, what are you considering sucked in, right?
That's a good question.
Because if I hand a kid a tablet and it has Instagram on it and they like photos of pretty people, they're going to love it, right? And when they don't have anything to do, they're going to say, I like looking at these photos, and they'll go look at the photos, right? Like, when left to your own devices to do whatever you're going to do, many people are choosing their phone and choosing Instagram or Facebook or, Twitter or wherever they hang out. Like people scoff at the notion of like a VR hangout, but you're already doing it in a way, like
right.
You get onto Facebook, you tell your friends what you're doing, your aunt or your uncle or your mom comments or whatever, and
Absolutely. I just find it incredibly fascinating how much it's talked about in therapy. And it seems, to have escalated over the last few years. And I think the pandemic created a lot of boredom. And I have a lot of parents, too, saying now my kids are addicted to whatever device, insert whatever product. So I certainly see both the pitfalls and the favors of online and the tools with like social movements and stuff. I not sure I always hear that that's what people are using it for, but I do think that is its most powerful format. What would you say
I mean,
as a tech person?
like the device itself, it offers a lot of power.
It does.
It offers the power to entertain your kid for a whole entire hour, right, while you cook dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was young, and I'm playing Nintendo, like I've been at Mario 1 for 2 hours straight on a Saturday, and my mom come in and she's like, "Get out of my house. I don't like seeing you here." And I would go play basketball with my friends or whatever I was going to do that day, but like the kids don't all go outside and commune like they used to in my neighborhood, at least where where I'm at now. Where I grew up, all the kids were outside and playing with each other and doing things.
Yeah, they were. And it was, I mean, I grew up in a town of elderly people, right?
In Florida?
In Florida.
Yeah,
in
no
Florida.
say.
Yeah, in Cape Coral, and this was a town. My parents moved from the Mid-Atlantic, and I think they were a little bit shocked at the rural state of affairs there. But for me, it just allowed for so much creativity. Is my point, and I love that part of my childhood where I think I've talked to you about it. I feel like we lose that simplicity. I wish I had that kind of mindset, and not that I can't, but my point is that ability to go outside and go exploring and think I'm an architect or an archaeologist for the day. I mean, that feeling of simplicity in that is, again, what conjures in my mind of freedom. It's a freedom. It's simple. The word,
Right.
I think, simple implies.
Hi again. Jen and I are so excited to be doing this, and we thank you for listening. You can see articles, find our social accounts, join the conversation, and support us directly at technicallymental.com. Supporting us directly means you can bring us with you and listen inside of your favorite podcast app to full, ad-free episodes of the Technically Mental podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Also tap the bell if you want to be notified when our newest content goes live.